on YouTube, there is also a video where Ryan Mackey goes into a lot of detail about these values also. So that's a really good video to check out if you guys have any questions. So before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know, after our last presentation that we had on Cherokee spirituality, I received about 25 emails from people who were wanting more information and more resources. So what I did was I reached out to a lot of people, and I haven't read, I just want to preface this with, letting you know that I haven't read all of these books. So, but feel free to check them out. This list, I will ask Dawni if we can put this up on the Facebook page, the CCO Facebook page. But I just wanted to put this list out there and let you know that there are a lot of books on Cherokee history. And so I know this was one thing that a lot of people had questions about. You can see a lot of books. I actually have 3 pages here. And this list was a lot of community members chipped in with this list, to help out, of course. A man killer, a chief and her people. Of course, I read that one. My Aunt Wilma wrote that one. Stand as One, the teachings of Crosland Smith. I read that one also. That's a very good book. Robert Connolly, he was a fiction writer, but he wrote some really good books about Cherokee people. I'm sure most of you know. My favorite book, I think one of my favorite books in the world is Ned Christie's War. And I think because I read that when I was really young, and it just really kind of gave me a sense of what Ned Christie was going through back then, what our tribe was going through. And because I was young, it's really easy to read, and it was really informative. So if you guys have, your younger kids who are looking to, start to begin to learn about their culture, learn about Cherokee people, I think, those fictional books are really, they're not that heavy. So they're a really easy read if you guys want to get them started on that. So I just wanted to share this list, and we'll put it up on the CCO Facebook page. And then I'm going to want to invite the community to add to this list also. If you guys know of any really good books on Cherokee culture, Cherokee history, feel free to add to that list. I also want to say, let you guys know that for me, Cherokee culture was always passed down orally. I was taught everything that I know from my family, from my uncles, from my aunts, my parents, and from people in the community. So that's how I learned everything that I know. And I still feel that that is the best way to pass along knowledge. So, Dawni and I talked about doing a larger series based on, about our Cherokee spirituality, to get into it a little more, to answer some of the questions that you guys have. So if there is something, one area in particular about Cherokee culture that you would like to know more about, feel free to email me, and I'm going to put a class together because I really think that's, we always have passed things down orally. I really like, I really believe in the written word, but I still, for me, it's just easier. It's easier. I think it's a cultural thing, to make sure that we're passing these things on and continuing that oral tradition. So we are going to put together another series of classes if you guys have, other things that you want to explore about Cherokee culture. So go ahead and email me. I will put my email up in the Q&A again before we get out of here, so that way you guys can get a hold of me. But I just wanted to share this list, this initial list, and so you guys can start researching some of these books that you want to check out. So with that, we are going to get into our main presentation, and that is of the Cherokee community values. Can you see this page here, Donnie?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. So Donnie put this list up on the CCO Facebook page. So if anybody wants to download it, it is up there. I think it's really awesome to have. We have a copy here in our offices, and this is one of the first things I remember seeing whenever I started to work here. And, it just really encompasses everything what Cherokee people are about. So we're going to read through some of these, talk about them, discuss them, and then we'll answer any questions that you have at the end. So, and like I said, I just want to, give my appreciation for Ryan Mackey and Benny Smith for putting this together. So the first one, Gadugi, I'm sure that's the one everybody I think is the most familiar with. That is, and also this value is one that I remember from my childhood. One of my earliest memories is of this value. People coming together as one and working to help one another. I know a lot of Cherokee people, they don't always ask for help. What they will say is, oh, well, I'm going to paint my house, or my house needs to be painted, or they'll say something like that. And then other people will come in and say, well, hey, I'll come and help you, and then it, will turn into people will bring food. And it's just, really awesome part of our culture, to see people come together. I've seen this time and again, all over the Cherokee Nation. Just recently, I know the Greasy community lost their water for some days. And Cherokee Nation administration, the emergency services, taking water out there, but also our community members. People who don't even work for Cherokee Nation or have a job title. I saw them on Facebook coordinating, where they could take water, things they could do. And that was just really inspiring to see that. And that's how I know that our people, we're going to continue to thrive no matter what. Also when we just had this, severe weather with the ice and everything, our director, Kevin Stretch, he had already started getting volunteers for people to deliver wood. And, it's just really awesome. I love this value. I really love this about Cherokee people. So the second one here, strengthen one another with encouraging words in all that you do. I really believe in this one also. This one has helped me throughout my life. I'm not sure if I've told everybody, but I went to a training once where Native people were described as being crabs in a bucket, and that all we do is pull each other down. And at the time, it made me angry to hear that description of us, but I had to take a look at myself and make sure that I wasn't contributing to this stereotype about us. And it turns out that I was a lot, and so that's one thing that I make sure that I do now, whether it's on Facebook or in person. If I see somebody doing something positive in the tribe, I make sure I give supporting words, and, I contribute to the cause. And so, I just really love this value. Live and never give up on what you start. This one has been instilled in me also since I was little. My Aunt Wilma, she was the chief of our tribe for a long time. She really preached this one a lot. And she said that was the secret of our success, is that we never, ever give up. And, that's true. That's a testament to the fact that, I'm even sitting here today, is because our ancestors continued to fight and continue to help one another, just like all of you guys are doing out there right now. So it's just very awesome to see. Be stingy with one another's existence, like a mother with child. I listened to Ryan Mackey describe this one, and I believe the essence of it is to not treat each other's existence or take each other's existence for granted. Like a mother with child, that kind of love. you really, work on applying this one in my life with the people that I love, the people that I care about, and even acquaintances of mine. Just make sure that I'm giving people energy and giving people my attention. One of the things that I focus on now is being a better active listener. I found that a lot of times what I would do was, instead of listening, I was just waiting for my turn to speak. And so that was a really bad habit that I had to work my way out of. Instead, just really giving that time to somebody who's willing to share something with me. And so, Dawni, do you have any experience with these first four? Any guidance that you have about these values also?
Yes. Let's see, I'm working on my video. I'm not able to come up, but that's okay. I'll just speak. Yes, like you said, Gadugi is a very well-known saying among our people. And what I like about this is that the belief is that, and it kind of goes into live and never give up on what you start, that this is something that's supposed to be done until something is completed for whoever it is you're helping, whatever the situation is. You see it through to the end. And I love that. And even recently with everybody was in Oklahoma and Texas, we were dealing with some harsh weather recently, as you mentioned, and very quickly, once everybody kind of understood how serious these situations were, people went to work here, people went to work in Texas. We had people step up and help with, we made donations down in Texas, and the community groups started working immediately to help us get organized for deliveries. So it was definitely Gadugi. And that's just, I think, a part of us. It's ingrained. It's who we are. And it's always so incredible to see people coming together as one and working to help one another. And so this is something that, we see even recently. How this works for our people. Strengthen one another with encouraging words, and all that you do, you get further by doing that. We all get frustrated, but encouraging words do get you further in whatever it is you want to accomplish. Live and never give up on what you start. That can be difficult, especially those working in community groups. You have points where things are going well, and then things kind of get frustrating sometimes. But we're Cherokee, and we have a purpose. The title is Cherokee Community Values, emphasis on community. So you never give up on community. I mean, you are who you are. You're a Cherokee, and we're community-oriented people rather than individualistic. And that can be really hard too, because we live in a society, a larger society around us, that is more individualistic. And we are community-oriented people. And so I think that just by being close to these values and understanding these values, we can be good examples in this world. As we're told that was one of the directives from our Creator, is to be an example in this world. So live and never give up on what you start. Makes me think of that you can't give up on being who you are. Even when things get difficult, take care of yourself, take time, step back if you need to, but remember, you have a calling as a Cherokee to help make the world a better place. And be stingy with one another's existence, like a mother with a child. You covered that beautifully. It is just that strong. Can you imagine a world where we are supposed to regard every human being with that kind of love between a mother and child, which to me, quite frankly, is the strongest love. There is no bond stronger that I've experienced, greater than that of a parent and child. And so imagine having that kind of relationship with everyone in the world, where you have, you are looking out for their well-being, and stingy is kind of a funny word in the English, being an English word. It's kind of a funny word because we think of it as a kind of a negative thing, stingy.
Mhm.
But it's like, when you hand your baby to somebody, they want to hold your baby, you want that baby back at some point. You know what I mean? That's the stinginess we're talking about. That's your baby. And so that it's that love, that bond. And so that's, I just wanted to talk about that word stingy a little bit and clarify what that means to us. So Widow.
Widow Donnie, I appreciate that. Thank you for clearing that up. Also, yeah, that is does have negative connotations with that word. So, so the next value we're going to talk about is like one another without conditions, admire one another. I think that this one is kind of goes against mainstream society. What we're taught now, or we're bombarded with commercial after commercial about judging ourselves, judging others. And it's advertising. People want you to buy their product, and like one another without conditions. This is something I'm working on in my own life. Just not being judgmental. I think it's really big, and I was taught this early. Even about people in my life. Somebody told me, if you want this person in your life, you're going to have to accept them how they are. You cannot change them. They're not going to change just for you, change their entire life. So if you want this person in your life, you need to accept them how they are. So, I just really think it really helps you. It saves a lot of your energy, when you're not holding on to these judgments and everything like that. So I just think it's a really beautiful value. Struggle to hold on to one another or cling to one another. I really like this. I've seen people, unfortunately, relationships, people I've known who didn't talk for 20 years because somebody borrowed somebody's pot and forgot to return it, or, whatever. And then it turns into this whole big thing. And, I've seen people hold grudges, all the way to their deathbed. And, I just always, wanted to make sure that I wasn't like that with my family, and of course, so, I think, this just involves letting go of our resentments, letting go of our petty things that we have in life. And it really frees you up also, but, just making sure we're doing the work, to hold on to one another, and have each other in our life. And then also treat each other's existence as being sacred or important. Donnie touched on this a little bit. And I think, this is one of the values that really sets us apart as Cherokee people. And I believe, like I said, this is one of the reasons that we still are together as a tribe, together as a people, and we've been able to hold our families together, is because we do this. We treat each other's existence as being sacred. One of the things I talk about was always, how I would feel good when I was at ceremony, when I was at the stomp ground. But as soon as I would leave, I would start to feel bad again. I would get anxious and be jealous and have resentments. So, what this is about also is really every day acting like I'm at ceremony or I'm at the stomp ground, and treating people in that good way and having that good frame of mind every day. So carrying that throughout my life, and not only, when we're at church or when we're at the stomp ground. So you all live helping one another. And this, relates to Gadugi, also, but I just really, am happy to see all the work that you guys are always doing out there to help each other, help your family, help people in the community. Our community organizations are just growing in number. We cover so much of the country now. When I get an email from somebody who just moved to a new area, it's really awesome that I can point them to the nearest Cherokee community organization, and that they can go and take classes and fellowship and find support. And that's all the work that you guys have done. And so I'm just really appreciative that that's being carried on. In the mind and heart, always have the thought of working together. This is a really big one for me personally in my life. I always wanted to be the one to do the work. I never really was able to trust anybody else to help me get stuff done. So I've always, I would always go and do everything myself. But the downside of that was I was always tired. I was always grouchy, and I was always resentful. And I was all of these things, and I had never even asked anybody for help. Yeah, I was resentful against these people, and they had no idea, what I was going through. And so, like I said, with our community values, some of these values are, go against mainstream society, and they go against everything that we're taught now. So, a lot of these values, I have to even work back into my own life. And I'm really excited to do that. And it is work, but it's really awesome work to do. I'm excited to, always get back and get closer to my Cherokee culture, my Cherokee roots, live these Cherokee values, and what it does is just really has a, beneficial effect on my life, my physical health, my mental health, emotional health, by living these values. It's just really, done wonders for me personally. So I just want to throw that out there. But, and then now, I'm just reminded of the saying that, we it's amazing what we can accomplish if you're not worried about who gets the credit. And I just really like that. I really like that, helping people just because to help people, or, contribute to contribute. I don't need my name on there. And I just think that that's really awesome. That's a really awesome way to go about life, to see how much we can accomplish, and not ever worrying about, oh, well, they didn't give me a pat on the back or anything like that. So, Donnie, what are your thoughts on these last values that we've gone through?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like one another without conditions, admire one another. That can be a tough one as well, because we can be very judgmental. Mm-hmm. We can be, when people don't fit what we think are our ways of believing and thinking, we can tend to kind of cast them aside. But, mm-hmm. I remember, even in my very large family, because there's more people, there's more chance for, for us grandkids messing up, kind of a thing, Mm-hmm. And I remember my great grandma, she just, no matter what we did, she never gave up on us, and mm-hmm. she loved us and always welcomed us. And that was for us the big corrective measure was making sure that we lived our lives in a way that our grandmother thought of us in a good way. Mm-hmm. And so I always think of her when I look at this value, without conditions. Mm-hmm. It's family. You love family no matter what. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to have that kind of a regard for all people, that there aren't any conditions, and we are supposed to admire one another. Mm-hmm. The spiritual belief is that the Creator lives within each of us, is a part of mm-hmm. each of us. So you look for that in other people. And so I always think about that, my great grandmother, and just when I read without conditions, that was definitely her. She always mm-hmm. Supported us and guided us, and that was the big thing, make grandma happy. So struggle to hold on to one another or cling to one another, that kind of ties in. And what's the thing about all these values is they really they all tie into one another. They're all very in some ways similar, but struggle to hold on to one another or cling to one another. It's much easier in some ways to cast people aside, but it wears on you. You wonder what they're doing. You wonder if they're okay. They're your family, they're your friends. And so to hold on to one another is a challenge, and it is a struggle, as it says. So our values even acknowledge that, but it's important. And I think as Cherokee people, even just knowing that we have Cherokees that live all across the country and these community groups have been organized, we have in some ways struggled to hold on to one another, find one another, and so that's just in us as community-minded people. Treat each other's existence as being sacred or important. I love this one because it's so very true. Everyone is sacred and everyone is important, and so no one is better than anyone else. That we are in the Cherokee Society equal people, and so. Everyone is sacred. We carry, the spiritual belief that carry the spirit of the creator within each of us. And so we are supposed to look for that in one another. And you all live helping one another. Again, community values. That is who we are. It doesn't say you all live just helping yourselves. You all live helping one another. And it's as you were speaking, Abraham, I thought about, our work is about working with community organizations at large and local. And our work would be so much harder if we didn't have our community groups to connect with, whether it's local and somebody needs wood, somebody needs water, or donations that need to be made in Texas. And, Cherokee Nation has sent firefighters to the West before. We've checked in on people when hurricanes, were coming into Florida, and that sort of thing. And so you all live helping one another. It just seems to strengthen those bonds, and relationships seem to strengthen in time as we need one another.
Hello, Donnie. I appreciate that. So we're going to go on to the next value that we're here. So in the mind and heart, always have the thought of working together. I believe we covered that one. You all have strong conviction for and believe in one another. This is a really good one also. You all have a strong conviction for and believe in one another. Like Donnie was saying, we wouldn't be able to do anything that we have, any of the work that we do without our Cherokee citizens who live all over the country. And then this is one of the things I was talking about. We have to trust each other, believe in one another, that when there is work to do, we don't all have to do it ourselves, that each of us is going to be, a link in that chain, to make sure that we're getting everything done. So I really like this one also. You all take responsibility for one another's well-being. This one isn't a value that is taught, a lot nowadays in American society. I believe this is, an indigenous idea and indigenous value. But it's one that, we really need to make sure that we're putting back into our households. I remember, growing up, there was always, kids who struggled in schools, and, they weren't, even Cherokee or maybe sometimes they were. But, what I really tried to preach to my kids was make sure you're reaching out to that person. Make sure the unpopular kids, the kids who don't play sports, the kids who may be a little awkward, make sure you are reaching out to them. They are your responsibility also, whether they're Cherokee or not Cherokee. And so, this is something that I work on in my own life. And it's just, it just goes back to, it's free. It's free to do all of these things, and it requires really little effort. And it, for me, doing it in my life, it's a way that I'm actually paying it forward, because this has been done for me on multiple occasions. I've had Cherokees and non-Cherokees, help me in my journey. And so I really feel like I owe a debt. I'm really grateful for all the things that, I've been able to be helped with in my life. So I think this is a really good one for us to instill in our children, teach our children that, we do have responsibility for one another's well-being. And, you see it now, especially with the pandemic. We're being asked to wear masks, not for myself, but I'm being asked to wear a mask so that I am not passing to you, anything. I'm asking to make sure I'm maintaining my distance and doing all of these things. And I think that's why you see, I'm really proud of the response that the Cherokee Nation has had, in response to this pandemic. So, and I think this is a value, that's at the core of our response to the pandemic. So I'm really proud of everything, the sacrifices you guys are all making out there, to make sure that you're keeping each other safe. So watch over and wait for one another. Whenever I read this one, what I think of is patience. That's something that I continue to work on in my life. And what I really find is the more patient that I am, the quicker things are happening in my life. I think my energy is better spent, and I definitely have better relationships because I am taking that care with people and taking that time with people. And so, I'm really excited that we do have this list. We have something to refer back to. We have a guide, if you will, for living our lives. So really awesome. But yeah, it makes me think of patience whenever I see this one, patience with each other. And we have to remember that, we are still working through a lot of historical trauma, and that even though we do still have our language, many have lost it. I myself am not a fluent speaker. It's something I continue to work on, and so when people, have these cultural questions or have these language questions, that we're being patient with each other, that we're understanding that we're not very many generations removed from, really horrible policies that were aimed at us, aimed at termination, trying to terminate our people and terminate our way of life. So, this makes me remember that, we need to be patient with each other, have care for each other, because we're still working out of that. And we're making a lot of progress. And so, actually, my sister just was accepted to the Cherokee language, master apprenticeship program. She's going to study Cherokee for 2 years. And so we have these kind of programs that all of us can take advantage of, to reclaim these things in our life. So just really awesome that we still have that. Live and support each other in all that you do. This goes back to, what I was talking about, making sure that we are not crabs in the bucket, making sure that we are not, just individuals every day. That we all recognize we are part of a nation. We're part of the Cherokee Nation. And, we do have that responsibility to each other to make sure that we're helping in any way we can. And so, I just think that's a really great value. You all gang up on work whenever and wherever it arises. This is really great. And I see this all the time throughout the Cherokee Nation. I see this throughout our community organizations, like Dawni said, people were just going down, our tribal administration, sending people down to Texas to help out wherever they could. And, just the community members also down there helping out and reaching out to each other. So, they say, many hands make for light work. And I really believe this. And so it's something that I continue to work on, making sure that I'm asking for help, whenever that time does arise. So make sure that you are reaching out. Don't be afraid, whether it's to me, to the CCO, to any of us here, to fellow community members, community organizations, making sure that, if you do have that need, making sure we're not being so prideful that we're not getting our needs met. So, Dawni, are there any of these values here that really speak to you like that?
Yeah, I think that's important, Abraham, what you just said. You all have a strong conviction for and believe in one another. I think many times as people some that work in community organizations or in communities where you have a role to play, Sometimes we hold on to those roles and responsibilities for a couple of reasons. One, we tell ourselves it's easier for me to just do it. One, so that it does get done, and two, so that it gets done correctly. And if we have that kind of a mindset, no one else ever has an opportunity to learn. And so I think we have to sometimes share those roles and responsibilities just so people have the opportunity to learn, because we need to be able to, in our communities, make sure other people can do the work that we're doing if we're not available. And so I think it's real important, give people the responsibilities, and, they may mess up, but they may learn from it and get it right the next time. Or not. Sometimes it takes a while to grasp our roles and responsibilities. But, watch over and wait for one another. That's what we're supposed to do, is, guide and teach and share. And so the more people you have that are able to do a wide variety of responsibilities, the stronger your community. So I think these 4 teachings really tie in again to one another very well. And we're just supposed to provide that support, wait for one another, be patient, take responsibility for one another's well-being. You really covered that, because, when you were talking about that, I think about, I'm an avid news reader. I don't really watch a lot of news, but I read news daily, a variety of publications. But as I'm reading, there many times mainstream media, they're writing from the perspective of sort of the U.S. individualistic society kind of mindset. But as I'm reading it as a Cherokee community-minded person. And so I think about that. Not everything around us in the larger society is tailored to how we think, feel, and believe as Cherokee people. Yet I don't cast the Cherokee aside and try, and in some ways it's important to understand perspective of other people. It's, it really is, but you don't have to cast aside your Cherokee-ness to try to have greater understanding of the society as a whole. Just, as a Cherokee, what can I do to help? What's my perspective here? So many times when I read the news, I feel they tell us what's going on, but they don't tell us how we can help, and that's the Cherokee mindset, is how can I help? What can I do? And, who can I bring in, and who can, and so I think that is real important, is that we try to look at the world as a Cherokee through these values and think, how can I make a difference where I am? I think that's just powerful. I was thinking about this earlier. A lot of our people live in other parts of the country. Some wanted to move away. Some wanted for jobs, for various reasons, but some were relocated. Your family, and Wilma Mankiller talks about this, the relocation of the family to San Francisco area, but they came home. In that the U.S. thought they were doing something good for us, or they thought they were, finding a solution for us where we could get out and integrate in society more and have greater opportunities for jobs and all these promises, but it tore apart communities. Yet, and then, as I said, you're the example of your family, but they came home because community is so ingrained. But not everybody did. But we've taken what the government did in terms of moving people out of our communities, and not just abandon them or they abandon us. We're still organized. We're still connecting with one another and trying to make, I think, a greater difference, a world around us, no matter where we are. So we took something that was could have been negative and turned it into something positive, because we're Cherokee, because we're community minded. And I think that's powerful, to have these community groups across the country that we turn that into something really good. Yeah.
That's a good point, Donnie. I'd never really thought about it like that. And that really speaks to the next value we're talking about. Live united, work as a team with one another. So, whereas, it could have been a really negative thing, like Donnie's talking about, us being relocated all over the country. Now we have these distinct groups, throughout the country, that are organized and, that helping one another. So, I just think, her point really illustrates this value here: living united, work as a team with one another. So that's a really good point with Donnie. The next one is visit one another with love, locate and find one another. Our Cherokee organizations, I think, do a really good job of this, making sure that they're bringing people in, and then, not just bringing them in, but making sure that, they feel welcome. I remember going to Cherokee organizations in California, and they didn't know me from anybody. We just wanted to go and be around other Cherokees. And, you're just right away, people were introducing themselves, offering coffee, offering food, speaking to us, getting to know us. And, what you will find, that same attitude and that same value is found in our stomp grounds back here. And it's just really awesome to see that, that whether you go to a stomp ground in the middle of woods here in Oklahoma, or you go to a Cherokee community organization way out in California or Washington or wherever, you're still going to get that. You're still going to get people introduce themselves, offer you some coffee, offer you something to eat. And, it's just really awesome that kind of love, is being shown. And so that's how I know that these values are still well and alive. And, so that's how we can see also that we're still connected to our culture in that way. You guys are still carrying on that value and living that value every day. Live and be very skilled in all areas of life. Be resourceful. This is definitely something that we have shown, here recently, with the pandemic and with also all the weather and everything else that's going on. I believe in, if you're going to do something well. And so, I really think that, the Cherokee administration offers these opportunities for us, whether it's through learning a trade or, learning our culture, definitely with technology, it's become easier for us to now learn these cultural, these cultural activities as well as, occupational. So, I just want to give a shout out to everybody, all of our at-large citizens and on-reservation citizens who continue to live this value every day by, putting work into what they're doing and taking pride in what they're doing. Encourage and instruct one another in a gentle and thoughtful way. I really promote this one a lot. Like I said, we really need to have patience with one another, whether it's somebody who's trying to learn the language or somebody who has questions about culture, maybe even questions about their genealogy. Not all of us are on the same level as far as being connected to whatever resources we have in the Cherokee Nation. So whenever we are, speaking to one another, just making sure that we are encouraging each other and being gentle with each other, because everybody's healing from something, and that's just life, whether it's, the pandemic or, we all have to deal with troubling times in life. And so, just making sure that we understand that, whoever you're talking to, a kind word, you never know, can go a long way to turning somebody's day around or even turning somebody's life around. I remember, when people, it may not have been a big deal to them, but just some kind words that they gave me and a little time that they gave me helped me so much on my journey and made such a big difference. And I still remember those kind words to this day. So I think that's a really good value for us to bring back and make sure that we're promoting in our communities. Think of one another in spiritual prayer and healing with medicine. I love this one. And I'm really reminded of Dawni with this when I see her on Facebook, and when she's talking about you being, connected to spirit and praying. She's always praying for us. She's always praying for you guys out there. And it's just really awesome to see. I really think she embodies this one. And so, and also in my own life, this is something that I really do to make sure that I'm, putting that prayer out there and that good energy, going down to the water, to pray for all of us who are going through, something right now, especially with the pandemic. And so I just really like this one. And, I think it's a really good way for us to feel like we're connected with each other also by putting that good energy and good prayer out there for each other every day. Include everyone, all humankind, however many. I think this is really, really great value. And it actually was just demonstrated probably, yesterday by our Cherokee administration. They just, they put on Facebook that they are including even non-native members of your household can now get the vaccine. And so I see also, throughout other places that, we don't always just take care of Cherokees. Of course we do. Our Cherokee people are our priority to make sure that we're helping out in any way we can. But, I love this about, Cherokee people and Native people, that we are never that selfish to where if we have something, we are always reaching out to the non-Native members in our community to make sure that we can help out also in any way we can. So that's a really great value, and I love to see that. Direct one another in the right way without confining or pushing. I tried to live this one in my daily life. I think I did speak about to you guys. I used to get in a lot of Facebook arguments. I really like to, tell people this is how you should be doing this, or argue with people or whatever it was. And it was just nonsense and really just a waste of my time. Now, if I see something, on Facebook where I think somebody could use a kind word or maybe use a little direction, I make sure that I do it in a good way so that it can be heard. I know that, when you're arguing with people, it just turns people off to you right away. They don't even hear the message that you have if you come at them, in a bad way. So this is something that I really I work on in my own life, and make sure that I'm letting people know that I'm grateful for them. I think that's a really important to show gratitude. Whether it's in our organizations or whether it's in our families. Making sure that people don't have to guess. Especially like with my kids, I always tell them I love them. I don't want them to ever have to guess how I feel about them. And other members of my family, my brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews. So I really love this value, and I think it's a great way for us to continue to hold each other close. So with these final values, Dawni, do you have any thoughts on these last ones?
Yeah, and I'll try to go quickly. Let's see, live united, work as a team with one another. Team is where it's at, and I study a lot of topics on leadership, and I'm actually trying to finish up a degree on organizational leadership. And thank goodness, leadership is becoming more in line with our Cherokee beliefs in terms of teamwork, because people are finding that the hierarchy, when some people at the top make certain decisions and get everyone in trouble, like Enron and some of those organizations, that's not always a good thing. And so leadership models are moving more toward how Cherokees think in terms of teams, and everybody having a role and responsibility and being equally important. And so that's really exciting. And so in the future, I know those of us at CCO hope to share more of those teachings as well and tie that into Cherokee thinking. This is what I feel like I do for a living: visit one another with love, locate and find one another. I was hired under Chief Baker to primarily work with our at-large citizens. And I'm not sure I can even call it work now, because I have come to love and value so many people in our at-large communities. As a matter of fact, in my daily prayer, I say, I pray over my larger family, friends, and communities as part of my prayer. Because we have shared so much with one another in the time I've been doing this. Everybody is family. And so I'm always thinking about everyone, which ties into think of one another in spiritual prayer and healing with medicine. I pray daily with our tobacco every day for our people, no matter where they are, for all people, for all of life, all of creation. But that I had no idea, because I hadn't really traveled much. And now we have, 25 communities across the country. And so we were traveling quite a bit, and we will again, but that's what we do. Visit one another with love, locate and find one another. Love should not be a scary word. It should be a very common word, because it drives so much of who we are and what we do. Live and be very skilled in all areas of life. Be resourceful. Cherokees have had to be resourceful. Sometimes we haven't had a thing, and we've made something out of nothing. So we are a resourceful people. We take what we have to work with, and turn it into something good. That is who we are. Encourage and instruct one another in a gentle and thoughtful way. That is, I think about my grandmothers. Sometimes they didn't even say a word. Many times they weren't, even saying words. It was just being in their presence was enough. I remember working a puzzle with my great grandmother, and, as a young adult, and just really having a hard time in life, and just feeling that peace of just sitting there and working a puzzle with her. And it was perfect. I felt good, I think that to be able to provide that kind of peace for someone, to be that for someone, is powerful. And so to be gentle and thoughtful, because sometimes instruction comes from just observing as well. Think of one another in spiritual prayer and healing with medicine. I jokingly say, the world will, I grew up hearing the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but our medicine people, especially Crosland, talks about the importance of intention, the importance of belief. And so we all pray in different ways now, but at the center of prayer is absolutely, I think, intention. No matter how we pray, the intention has to be good. The intention has to be right. And there's strong power in that. And so that's how I try to pray for people daily. And I think that is a very important Cherokee concept, is that, I've said this, what I learned from Crosland is when you pray in all the directions, you pray for the beauty in front of you, the beauty to your left, beauty behind you, beauty to your right, beauty below, beauty above, and beauty within. Many times, growing up, we started prayers in desperation. Oh, God, help me. Oh, God, help so-and-so. Please help us. But when you start with beauty, the thought of beauty in prayer, even though there's problems out there, even though you're troubled, when you focus on the beauty first, you think, well, yeah, there is beauty out there. There is good out there. And it changes your whole mindset when you start praying. So I think that's important, to think about intentions. I think the one of these that is my favorite: include everyone, all of humankind, however many. People tend to want to put people to the side and say, you're not a part of us, you're not good enough, you don't fit with our beliefs. But this is so very clear. There's not a list here of people to exclude. It says include everyone. And what Benny Smith said about these values is that these were not his values, even as a beloved elder. and he's brother to Crosland Smith. Benny didn't say, I made this stuff up. This is from me. He said, this is passed down to me from the ancestors, and I'm just delivering it to you. So these are ancient concepts. Include everyone, all humankind, however many. That's very clear. And so in our daily lives, when we see people being excluded, or even ourselves thinking we want to exclude someone, and this can be very difficult, it's not our directive from the Creator. It says all humankind, however many. That is the Cherokee way. And I want to say, too, these are beautiful teachings, but they're very difficult to put into practice. And especially when we are used to having a certain mindset, going through systems in our lives that seek to take Cherokee-ness away. Take our Cherokee-ness away. So you have to reflect on these things and think about, how can I put these things into practice, and then find the courage to put them into practice. I've done this, and it's hard to say, make amends with someone you've had difficulty with, or approach them differently in a more positive and kind manner. But once you find the courage to do that, it completely changes the situation. People are disarmed. And it's the hard part is the courage to do it. And then you get to see the good results. You get to see a change in people and yourself. And so I want to say that too about the teachings, that these are for you and not to hold over other people. To not take this list and tell someone, look, you're not including everyone, all humankind, however many. This is for you to work on yourself. Now, occasionally I will post these teachings just to remind people these are Cherokee teachings. But I try not to go to people and say, you're not doing this. You're not living up to this value. This is definitely for you to reflect on and think about how these can be a part of your life. And so I just wanted to say one other thing to Abraham. I wanted to talk just very quickly about our original name. Our original name is Ani Gaduwagi. It means the people that rise above. And so Ani, when you put that in front of something, it makes it more than one. And Gaduwagi, from what I understand, what I've been told, is it means to rise. So what I think about this name is the people that rise above. Ani Gaduwagi. This is who we were before we were known as Cherokee. Cherokee is not even who we are originally. Ani Gaduwagi. So to me, our name ties into these values as well, to rise above, to find that within us, and rise above those things within us that hold us back, and hold us back from, our internal things, but also our external, in our relationships with other people and all of creation. And so I just want everybody to kind of think about that. I am an Ani Gaduwagi person. I rise above. And we as Ani Gaduwagi people, we certainly have. We have had to rise above. We have taken what could be very difficult situations and turned them into positive situations. And we continue to do that. That is who we are. So I wanted to really just emphasize that as well, along with the teachings.
Hello, Donnie. Right. So we have a couple questions here. Actually, just comments from Juliana. For youth in a me American culture, this is a challenge. It's important to support our youth as they walk the Cherokee way in life. Reminding our youth we appreciate them, as the future is important. It's not easy for them. Yeah, you're definitely right. And, I really, I'm really happy that we have these values to pass along to our children. So, I'm definitely, we're going to continue to make sure that the Cherokee people continue to thrive because we do have these values, we continue to make sure that they're being spread throughout the Cherokee Nation. So with that, I believe we are all finished. Do you have any closing remarks, Donnie?
I don't, other than I just hope everybody has a good, honoring of women this month. Cherokee women have always been equal and important in our society. Some will say our elder women were the boss. and so I'm sure Abraham would probably say that too. Equality, but our elder women were highly, highly valued. And so they were our guides. They directed us. And so I want people to think about that this month, as it's National Women's Month, that you come from people that valued women, held women in high regard, and listened to women. And so we've had women do incredible things in our society, but it's, also those everyday women that just go wherever they're needed and do what needs to be done and take care of people. That is who you come from. And I think I wanted to say that as well today. But other than that, Abraham, you did a wonderful job today with these teachings, and I appreciate you. I think we work well as a team, and I'm so glad you're here. And,
yes, and so we are going to draw how many names, Donnie?
We're going to do 2 today, and so I have the number of participants here, Abraham. If you want to just pick a number from 1 to, so it shows we have 50 right now, a number from 1 to 50.
Let's do 7.
5, 6, 7. April Barker.
April Barker.
If you'll write that down. April, if you will email Abraham.
I'll put my email in the chat.
Yeah, he'll put his email in the chat. And one more number.
How about 15?
Okay. Okay. Richard Plager, Plager. I hope I said that right. Richard, Abraham will have his email in the Q&A if you'll email him. You know what, Abraham, let's do 2 more.
Okay. We're going to pick 2 more names for winners for the, and what do they get, Donnie?
Well, we have the new calendars. We have a t-shirt, and we have some little things like maybe a mug, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how about number 27?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How about Tiffany Harbarger?
Congratulations, Tiffany.
And one more.
How about 33?
Okay. Oh goodness, here. Okay. Sylvia Soholt.
Congratulations, Sylvia.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. That's all I have. Abraham?
Yep. So right here, I don't know if everybody can see on the screen, this is my email address. I went ahead and typed it in, Abraham-Bearpaw@cherokee.org. So if you guys have ideas of what classes you would like to see that, relate to Cherokee spirituality or whatever, make sure you guys go ahead and email me those. April, Richard, Tiffany, and Sylvia, shoot me your email addresses and we will get with you to get your prizes. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and great rest of the week, and we will see you next time.